got a huge freeze coming our way, so that's why it looks kind of dark and eerie here at the park. But I wanted to come to y'all, still going through the book, The Gap in the Gain, and just loving this thing, life transforming. So I still encourage you to pick up a copy of it, and let's read it together. Let's follow along and just kind of go. So let me ask you something. Today we're going to talk about: are you paralyzed when a bad experience happens? When something bad happens in your life, are you paralyzed by it? Do you just freeze up? And how long do you freeze up? And I know I've had some experiences, as far as like, maybe in your business you've been rejected, or maybe you're in a job interview and you didn't get the job, and man, there's so many different things it can be. Maybe bad date, girlfriend doesn't call you back, whatever the case may be. But how long does it paralyze you before you get back on and that horse, if you will, and go make another phone call for that interview, or find look for that next prospect, or whatever the case may be. So, um, yeah, how long is it? Is it hours, days, weeks, months? I mean, it could be all of the above, just depending on how severe it is. And what's interesting, it's really more about how personal it is, right? Where does it hit you? If it's an emotional experience that happens, and it has a lot of emotion part attached to it, then you're definitely going to be paralyzed for a while, right? So what I want to help you do is flip that around. Let's limit that. I mean, yeah, I get that you could have, it's natural, right? It's natural to be affected by a negative experience. But what if you could flip that switch and reduce those weeks to days? What if you could reduce those days to hours? And what if you could reduce those hours to just a few minutes, to kind of pull your head out, so to speak. So look, when you're paralyzed by an event, it's somewhat of a trauma. It is. It's a trauma by nature. I know that does sound extreme, but by nature, it is. It's a trauma, because trauma is defined by an experience that you avoid. And so, by you not doing it for another week or so, or a day or an hour, it's a trauma, man, and you're avoiding it. You're not doing it, and so you're going to avoid it. And so, by nature, it is defined as a trauma. And so, it's dysfunctional. I mean, I know you may if you don't deal with it correctly, you may do it again, but that doesn't mean you're going to actually be successful. You may just kind of just go through the motions, and you may miss a huge opportunity by just going through the motions. So, man, it can be debilitating. Wow, easy for me to say. So it can be debilitating, man. It can be what I said earlier. You're paralyzed. So let's flip that, right? So how do you flip the story? How do you make it to where it's the other way around? Sorry, I had to flip that up. So how do you flip the switch? And here's the deal: you're never going to flip the switch until you're grateful, until you can recognize the experience as something you can learn from, something you can be grateful for. And man, that's easier said than done sometimes, right? I mean, sometimes the experience is just really difficult. And so being grateful for it, you're like, you're crazy, man. There's no way I'm grateful for, whatever the case may be. In my case, I was laid off 3 times, 3 different companies, man. And my story is I wasn't a good employee. I was a great employee. And I say that because, when I was in my positions at those companies, I owned it. It was mine, right? And so, it wasn't that I was just an employee. I was all in. I was autonomous, and I was full on, and I took complete responsibility. And those days when they walk up to you and hey, I'm sorry, nothing personal. I don't know about you, but when you've ever been laid off, it's extremely personal. And you know, I could have looked at that as a total negative and just laid it away, but I learned from them. I learned the fact that now I'm in business for myself. I'm blessed. I have the ability to mentor, coach, and help people in a totally different way than I did as an employee or as a manager or a supervisor or whatever my positions were. And so, what a blessing. I look at it and say, that's huge. And so, you got to flip it. So, you got to start looking at, can I be grateful for the experience that happened? And it may not be immediate, right? Take the time to deal with it. But, let's shorten that time frame. So, first, you got to realize that the big thing is you got to realize that things happen for you, not to you. I'm gonna let that sink in for a second. Things in life happen to you. The experiences you have happen for you, not to you. And man, the faster you can recognize that, the faster you can look at something and say, and not look at it as a negative, but look at it as, hey, this is happening for me. What's happening here that's going to be for me? Just like I talked about earlier, being laid off happened for me. I would have never looked at trying to start my own business or do something on my own if I hadn't been laid off. It took me 3 times. Hey, nobody says I'm slow. You're gonna be slow about it, right? I'm not a quick learner, or I wasn't. But anyway, um, right. So it took me a while to figure it out. But I would have never done that had I not, been laid off. I would have never started my own business. So I took that experience. I look back on it and go, man, what a blessing. Right? I mean, now I'm blessed to work every day with my wife. I mean, I used to commute every day. I mean, are you one of those that wake up every morning, right? Sunday night, you dread waking up Monday morning. You wake up the same time Monday. You eat breakfast. You drive, do the same commute, go to the same office, eat lunch at the same time, drive home, right? Do the same thing every single day, right? That I don't have that experience anymore. So I can look back and say, so again, realize things happen for you, not to you. Flip the switch. The next thing is you got to remember, like I said earlier, are you measuring what happened to you based on your ideals, what you wish happened versus what actually happened? Are you measuring, like I talked about earlier, are you measuring it based on what actually happened? I mean, there were some gains. Obviously, whatever the case is, something good happened. So maybe it takes you a few minutes. You can maybe sit down and list out, 5 things. What was positive about what happened? Take a few things and just really, and it may be, if it's emotional, it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. But, and maybe you got to get past your emotions, and that's called emotional intelligence. And so that's a whole nother conversation. But anyway, you get past it and start looking at what's positive. And, if it's someone close to you, share with it, share with them what's happening. And I bet you they can see the outside. They can be on the outside looking in. And they can probably help you if you can't. If you're having difficulties really recognizing, some things that good that happened out of the negative. The next thing is you know measure that, and then you just look at what actually happened. Write down what actually happened, the facts, and just realize that's it. And now you have a choice to turn that story into a positive or a negative at that point. You have the facts, and the story is your story. And the cool thing is it's a story in here. Yes, we share our stories. A lot of times, if it's negative, we share a lot of negative, but more than positive. But wouldn't it be cool to flip that switch? Think about some five, 6 things positive about it, and start telling yourself the positives about that experience. And what's going to happen is, the next time this happens, something close to it happens, something similar, you're going to be ready, and you're going to be able to be prepared to turn that experience from a negative. Right? You'll see it before it happens, even, and you'll be able to flip that switch. Because here's the deal, until you can do that, you're going to be bitter. Um, there's going to be bitterness in you. You won't have a happy life. You won't be happy. You'll continue to be dysfunctional, and it'll paralyze you. It'll continue to paralyze you. And you don't have to. It doesn't have to. So by doing that, by getting grateful about it, if you can get to a point, and I talk a lot about being gratitude, and that's a whole nother video you can look at on my past. I've talked about some gratitude, how do you be humble, kind, and some of those videos too, if you look back on those. But if you can get grateful for this experience, the negative experience, let me tell you, you're going to be a totally different person. People are going to be happy to be around you because they're going to see a shift. They're going to see how you can always be that light, if you will, in a negative time. And man, you're going to attract people. That's what people want to be around. People don't want to be around complainers, people that whine about everything that happens to them. They're victim everything. Everything is wrong, and life just stinks. Right? I mean, already I don't want to be on this call because it's just So flip it, and it's like, hey, how beautiful it is, man. Look, it's cool outside. I'm not sitting in the heat. It's Texas, and it could be super hot, right? But it's super awesome. It's not sunny, so the sun's not beaming down on me. It's nice, it's comfortable, beautiful lake behind me. You get to see it, I don't, but I can turn around and see it. But anyway, so again, shift it from a negative to a positive. Everything that happens, and man, I promise you, you're going to attract more people. You'll have just a totally different outlook on life, and things can be totally different for you. So, what's really cool is you'll start embracing failures. You'll start embracing things when you fail, what people call failures, right? Quote, failures. You'll embrace them because you're going to turn every failure into a learning opportunity. You'll start saying, hey, just like we talked about, what good happened from it? What can I learn from it? How can I see this happening again and see, in the future? And you'll flip the switch and it'll be super awesome. So, simply put, you will be unstoppable. No one can stop you as long as you can flip a negative experience into a positive in everything in life. No one. You'll be unstoppable. I'll just leave it at that. And so I hope this helps. I hope that this whole book that I'm going through and these videos kind of help with your mindset shift and help you with your family, with your business, with your life. If there's some things that you'd like to see us do and talk about, comment below. If you're in the gap, as you will, and what I just talked about is all being in the gap, and you're ready to be in the game, hashtag down at the bottom, comment gap. And man, I'd love to reach out and help and walk you through some stuff and kind of help coach and mentor you. Share this with somebody that needs to hear this. I know there's people out there that need to hear this, so share it with them. I'd appreciate it. Any comments and encouragement, I appreciate those as well. Thank you so much for your love and support. Follow me on all my different social medias, and man, I look forward to the next time we get on live here and just talk about this book. It's been life-changing, and it continues to be. God bless y'all, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. And if the freeze is coming your way, get indoors, protect your pipes and plants and pets.